I still remember the day I witnessed a scene that would change my perspective on life forever. As I stood in the emergency room, waiting for my friend to receive treatment, I saw a commotion near the entrance. A young man who introduced himself as Ethan, the son of a prominent politician, was being treated for a minor injury. But what caught my attention was the way he was behaving, waving at the reporters, trying to get their attention, and boasting about his family's influence. As I watched, a news van pulled up, and the reporters started to set up their equipment. Ethan, thinking this was his moment to shine, began to rant about political persecution, claiming that the hospital staff was treating him unfairly because of his conservative views. But what was really shocking was that he was doing all of this while a bleeding child waited behind him, clearly in need of urgent medical attention. The reporters looked confused, and one of them asked Ethan if he had been drinking, as he reeked of alcohol. Ethan, becoming agitated, grabbed the arm of our head nurse, Rachel, who was trying to slip past him. He held her arm so tightly that it left marks, and shoved her against the wall, screaming at her about how nobody disrespects a member of his family. I was horrified by what I was seeing, and I couldn't believe that someone could be so selfish and uncaring. The reporter, trying to intervene, asked Ethan to calm down, but he just kept ranting, his live stream capturing every moment of this train wreck. It was then that I noticed the look of fear in Rachel's eyes, and I knew I had to do something. As I reflected on this incident, I couldn't help but think of another experience that had left a deep impact on me. I had attended a birthday party for a friend's child, and what was supposed to be a fun celebration turned out to be a nightmare. The birthday girl's mother, who I'll call Mrs. Johnson, was extremely strict and demanding, and she made it clear that any child who couldn't follow her rules would be punished. As the party progressed, I saw Mrs. Johnson yell at several children, including my friend's daughter, Emma, for making minor mistakes. She made them stand in the corner, and even threatened to call their parents to take them home early. The worst part was when Emma accidentally spilled her juice, and Mrs. Johnson humiliated her in front of everyone, saying that clumsy children shouldn't be allowed to attend parties. What struck me was the way the other parents just stood by, watching as Mrs. Johnson bullied and belittled these innocent children. They seemed too afraid to intervene, and it was only when Emma's mother arrived that the situation was finally addressed. As I watched this unfold, I realized that this was not just about a birthday party gone wrong, it was about the kind of behavior that we as adults model for our children. As I look back on these two incidents, I saw a common thread: the abuse of power and the lack of empathy. Ethan, with his privileged background, thought he could get away with anything, and Mrs. Johnson, with her strict rules, believed she had the right to humiliate and belittle others. But what they both failed to understand was that their behavior had consequences, not just for the people directly affected but also for the witnesses, like me, who were left feeling horrified and helpless. As I thought about what I had learned from these experiences, I realized that it's not just about the people who are being bullied or mistreated, it's also about the bystanders like me who have the power to make a difference. We can choose to stand by and do nothing, or we can choose to speak out and challenge the status quo. In the end, it's not just about being a hero or a champion of justice. It's about being a decent human being. It's about treating others with kindness, respect, and empathy, even when it's difficult or uncomfortable. As I reflected on these incidents, I knew that I had learned a valuable lesson, that our actions or inactions have the power to shape the world around us, and that it's up to us to choose how we want to make a difference. I've come to realize that life is full of moments like these, where we're faced with choices about how to respond to difficult situations. And it's in these moments that we discover who we truly are, and what we stand for. As I look back on these experiences, I knew that I had been given a gift, the gift of perspective, and the opportunity to learn and grow from my mistakes. As I walked out of the emergency room that day, I felt a sense of sadness and frustration, but also a sense of hope. I knew that I had the power to make a difference, to choose how I wanted to respond to the challenges and injustices of the world. And I knew that I wasn't alone, that there were others out there who shared my values and my commitment to creating a better world. In the end, it's not just about the big moments or the grand gestures. It's about the small everyday choices we make, and the way we choose to treat others. It's about being kind, empathetic, and understanding, even when it's hard. And it's about recognizing that we all have the power to make a difference, no matter how small it may seem. As I looked out at the world around me, I knew that I had a long way to go, but I also knew that I was ready for the journey, and that I would do my best to make a positive impact on the world, one small step at a time.